The air is thick with the dust of shattered stone and the metallic tang of fear. From the top of the ancient wall, a man stares out at a sea of torches, a man-made constellation of fire stretching to the horizon. The ground itself trembles not from an earthquake, but from the rhythmic pounding of a monstrous cannon, a weapon forged of dark science and ambition. Every blast is a death knell for 1,000 years of history, and he knows, in the marrow of his bones, that this night is the last night of his world. For this is not merely a city under siege, it is the heart of an empire, the last vestige of Rome itself. It is Constantinople, the queen of cities, the repository of a millennium of art, faith, and knowledge. Within these legendary walls, the fate of Christendom's eastern flank is being decided. If the city falls, the gateway to Europe will be thrown open, and an entire era of human history, the final, flickering flame of the Roman Empire, will be extinguished forever. The stakes are civilization itself. At the center of this desperate defense stands an emperor, but he does not wear a crown of gold. His diadem is a battered steel helmet, his purple robes replaced by mud-stained armor. He fights not from a throne room, but here on the crumbling ramparts, shoulder to shoulder with his last soldiers. He is a ghost at his own funeral, a ruler defined not by the lands he governed, but by the city he is about to lose. His name is an echo of the first great Christian emperor, a bookend to a magnificent, tragic story. Who is this final emperor, this last of the Caesars, fated to preside over the death of his own empire? And who is the young, brilliant sultan at his gates, a man driven by prophecy and armed with weapons that defy imagination? Can walls that have stood for 1,000 years, that have repelled Avars, Arabs, and Crusaders, withstand the thunder of this new age? What is the name of this final, desperate struggle, where the medieval world will die and the modern one will be born in fire and blood? This is the siege of Constantinople in the year 1453. The emperor is Constantine XI Palaiologos, and the ambitious conqueror is the Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed II. In a few short hours, the city will fall. The Theodosian walls, the greatest fortifications of the age, will be breached, and the last Roman emperor will vanish into the chaos of the final assault, his body never to be found. The city will be reborn as Istanbul, and the world will be irrevocably changed. History does not turn on whispers, but on the roar of cannons and the shattering of walls. The fall of Constantinople was such a moment, a violent, cataclysmic pivot that ended one world and began another. It serves as a stark reminder that even the most enduring empires, symbolized by stone and faith, can be brought to ruin by the force of a single man's will and the terrifying dawn of a new technology. The story of the end begins long before the first cannon was fired. The Byzantine Empire in the mid-15th century was a ghost of its former glory. It was a head without a body, a magnificent capital city whose imperial lands had been stripped away by centuries of warfare, leaving it an isolated Christian island in a vast and expanding Ottoman sea. Its emperors ruled over little more than the city itself and a few scattered territories, their grand titles a mockery of their diminished power. Across the Bosphorus Strait, a new power was rising, filled with youthful vigor and a sense of destiny. The Ottoman Empire, a Turkic state forged in the fires of Anatolia, saw Constantinople not as a relic, but as the ultimate prize. For them, it was the red apple, a symbol of world dominion. And in 1451, a new sultan ascended to the throne, a man who would turn this long-held dream into a terrifying obsession. He was Mehmed II, and he was only 19 years old. Mehmed was a paradox, a scholar who spoke 6 languages, a student of classical history who admired Alexander the Great, and a ruthless military genius. From the moment he took power, his eyes were fixed on Constantinople. He saw its strategic importance, the key that would unlock both the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, uniting his European and Asian territories. To his court he declared, "There is only one thing I want. Give me Constantinople." His ambition was absolute. The greatest obstacle to this ambition was not an army or a navy, but stone and time. The Theodosian walls were the most formidable defensive structures ever built. A triple line of fortifications stretching over 6 kilometers, they had repelled more than 20 sieges over 1,000 years. They were a symbol of permanence, a testament to Roman engineering and the enduring power of the city they protected. To take Constantinople, Mehmed knew he had to break the unbreakable. To shatter these ancient stones, Mehmed sought a new and terrible weapon: gunpowder. He found his instrument of destruction in a Hungarian cannon founder named Urban, a mercenary engineer who offered his services to the highest bidder. When the Byzantines could not afford his price, he went to Mehmed, who gave him unlimited resources. The result was a monster, a super cannon over 27 feet long, capable of hurling a 1,200-pound stone ball over a mile. It was a weapon designed to murder legends. Within the doomed city, the last Roman emperor, Constantine XI, prepared for the inevitable. He was a brave and tragic figure, fully aware of the hopelessness of his situation. He had only about 7,000 soldiers to defend 14 miles of walls against an Ottoman army, estimated at over 80,000. His force was a motley collection of Byzantines, Venetians, and a crucial contingent of 700 elite Genoese mercenaries, led by the brilliant soldier of fortune, Giovanni Giustiniani Longo. In early April 1453, the storm finally broke. The vast Ottoman army appeared before the Theodosian walls, a terrifying spectacle of men, horses, and siege engines stretching for miles. Mehmed II established his command post directly opposite the central section of the wall, the Lycus River Valley, where the fortifications were at their weakest. He unfurled his banners, and soon, the thunder of Urban's great cannon and dozens of smaller guns began, a relentless bombardment that would continue for 53 days. The initial effect of the cannons was horrifying. The massive stone balls smashed into the ancient towers and walls, sending shockwaves through the city. The sound alone was a weapon of psychological warfare, a constant, earth-shaking reminder of the power arrayed against them. Yet the defenders, led by the skilled Giustiniani, proved remarkably resilient. Under the cover of darkness, they worked tirelessly to repair the breaches, using rubble, earth, and wooden stockades to patch the wounds in their stone shield. A glimmer of hope arrived in late April. A small fleet of 4 Genoese ships, laden with vital supplies and reinforcements, appeared on the horizon. The entire Ottoman navy moved to intercept them. From the walls, the citizens of Constantinople watched in prayerful silence as a desperate naval battle unfolded. Against all odds, the taller, better-armed Christian ships fought their way through the Ottoman blockade and into the safety of the Golden Horn, a massive morale boost for the beleaguered defenders. Angered by his navy's failure, Mehmed conceived of a plan so audacious it bordered on madness. The entrance to the Golden Horn, the city's primary harbor, was blocked by a massive iron chain. Since he could not break through it, Mehmed decided to go around it. He ordered his men to construct a greased wooden road over the hill of Galata. In a single night, an army of men and oxen dragged 70 ships of his fleet overland and into the waters of the Golden Horn, completely outflanking the city's naval defenses. This stroke of logistical genius was a devastating blow to the defenders. They were now forced to man the weaker sea walls along the Golden Horn, stretching their already thin forces to the breaking point. The siege became a grim war of attrition. The cannons roared day and night. Ottoman engineers dug mines beneath the walls, hoping to collapse them from below, leading to desperate, blind battles fought in the darkness of countermines dug by the defenders. The city was slowly being strangled. As the siege wore on, a sense of dread and supernatural foreboding gripped the city. Prophecies of the city's fall were whispered in the streets. Strange phenomena were reported. An unseasonable fog blanketed the city for days, and a mysterious light was seen flickering around the dome of the Hagia Sophia, the great cathedral of Orthodox Christendom. Many interpreted this as the Holy Spirit abandoning the city to its fate, a divine sign that the end was near. Mehmed, growing impatient, offered a final chance for surrender. He would allow the emperor and his people to leave unharmed if they gave up the city. Constantine's reply was resolute and heartbreaking. To surrender the city to you is not for me to decide, nor for any of its citizens. For we have all decided to die of our own free will, and we shall not spare our lives. There would be no surrender. The final act was about to begin. On the evening of May 28th, knowing the final assault was imminent, Constantine XI led a solemn procession through the city's darkened streets. In the Hagia Sophia, for the first and last time, Catholic and Orthodox clergy, who had been bitterly divided for centuries, put aside their differences and held a final Christian service together. It was a moment of profound unity and sorrow, a farewell to their city, their empire, and their world. Before dawn on May 29th, the final assault began. The roar of cannons, drums, and trumpets was deafening as tens of thousands of Ottoman soldiers surged towards the walls in massive waves. The first wave consisted of bashi-bazouks, irregular troops driven forward with whips and promises of plunder. They were thrown back by the exhausted defenders, their bodies piling up in the moat. The second wave of better-equipped Anatolian troops followed, focusing their attack on the heavily damaged central section. For hours, the battle raged with unimaginable ferocity. The defenders, led by the tireless Giustiniani, held their ground against the relentless tide. But the sheer weight of numbers began to tell. The third and final wave was then unleashed. The Janissaries, the Sultan's elite household troops, the best soldiers in the world. They advanced not with a wild charge, but with a disciplined, inexorable march, their professionalism a terrifying sight. The turning point came at a critical moment. The heroic commander Giovanni Giustiniani was grievously wounded by a cannon fragment. In agony, he asked to be taken from the battle to have his wound tended. His withdrawal, though understandable, caused a sudden panic among the defenders. His men, seeing their leader fall, wavered. At that exact moment, a cry went up from another section of the wall. A small, unlocked postern gate, the Kirkaporta, had been discovered and breached. Whether the Kirkaporta was left open by treason or simple, tragic oversight is a mystery lost to history. But its effect was immediate. Janissaries poured through the small gate, swarming the inner wall and raising the Ottoman standard atop a tower. The cry, "The city is taken," spread like wildfire along the defensive line. The organized defense collapsed into a desperate fight for survival. Seeing that all was lost, Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos reportedly threw off his purple imperial regalia, keeping only his sword. With a final cry of "The city is fallen, and I am still alive," he led his last remaining men in a final charge into the oncoming sea of Janissaries. He was never seen again. He vanished into the maelstrom, a king choosing to die as a soldier, his body swallowed by the fall of his empire, becoming a figure of enduring legend. With the emperor gone and the walls breached, chaos descended. Ottoman soldiers streamed into the city from multiple points, and the centuries-old defenses finally failed. The remaining defenders were overwhelmed. For 3 days, as was the custom of the age, the city was given over to plunder. Citizens sought refuge in the great churches, hoping for divine intervention, but the sanctuary doors were battered down. The magnificent city, the envy of the world, was systematically sacked. On the afternoon of the first day, Sultan Mehmed II, now known as the Conqueror, made his triumphal entry into the city. He rode directly to the Hagia Sophia. Dismounting, he walked into the magnificent cathedral, awestruck by its scale and beauty. He ordered an end to the destruction of the building, stooping to scoop up a handful of earth which he poured over his head in a gesture of humility before God. He then declared that the greatest church in Christendom would be converted into a mosque. The news of Constantinople's fall sent a seismic shockwave across Europe. It was an event of apocalyptic significance. For 1,000 years, the city had been Europe's shield, a Christian bulwark against invasions from the east. Now that shield was shattered. Fear spread of an unstoppable Ottoman advance into the heart of Europe. The Pope called for a new crusade, but the fractured powers of the West were unable to mount a response. An era had truly and terrifyingly ended. The long-term consequences were profound. The fall of the city marked the final, irrevocable end of the Roman Empire, a continuous political entity that had existed since the time of Augustus. It also severed the primary overland trade routes from Europe to Asia, such as the Silk Road. This economic necessity would drive European explorers like Columbus and Vasco da Gama to seek new sea routes to the east, inadvertently launching the Age of Discovery. But something was also saved from the ashes. In the years leading up to and following the siege, Byzantine scholars fled the dying empire, taking with them a priceless cargo of ancient Greek and Roman manuscripts and knowledge. They emigrated to Italy and other parts of Europe, where their learning helped to fuel the intellectual and artistic explosion of the Renaissance. In this way, the spirit of Byzantium, its classical heritage, was reborn in the West. With the fall of Constantinople, the Ottoman Empire was transformed. It was no longer just a regional power, but a true world empire, controlling one of the most strategic cities on Earth. Mehmed made the newly named Istanbul his capital, and from there, the Ottomans would dominate the eastern Mediterranean for centuries, becoming a central player in European politics and a rival to the great powers of the West. The legend of the last emperor, Constantine XI, endured. In Greek folklore, he was not believed to have died. Instead, he became the Marble Emperor, rescued by an angel and turned into marble, hidden beneath the ground to await the day he would reawaken and reclaim his city for Christendom. This myth became a powerful symbol of hope and national identity, a refusal to accept that the end was truly the end. The siege itself became a turning point in military history. It was the ultimate demonstration of the power of gunpowder artillery to overcome even the strongest medieval fortifications. The thunder of Urban's cannon was a declaration that the age of knights and castles was over. A new, louder, and more destructive form of warfare had arrived, and it would change the face of battle forever. Today, the great city of Istanbul stands as a vibrant bridge between continents and cultures. The Hagia Sophia still awes visitors, its massive dome a testament to Byzantine genius. The Theodosian walls, though scarred and broken in places, still stand as silent witnesses to the epic struggle that decided their fate. They are a tangible link to a lost world, a reminder of the empire that stood guard for 1,000 years. The fall of Constantinople is more than just a story of a siege. It is the story of a world changing in a single, violent convulsion. It reveals how the ambition of one man, the development of a new technology, and the courage of a doomed few can stand at the pivot point of history. It is a timeless, mysterious, and tragic reminder that nothing, not even a 1,000-year empire protected by the world's greatest walls, is eternal.